Clock right now, and of course it's definitely that time of year for Sheree Clark from Fork in the Road. She's in her element, no question about it, because all the stuff she loves is in season, and we made some stuff with the garlic shrapnel or shards, or what do you call those? Scapes, the
Yeah.
garlic scapes, which was really good. We didn't have very many friends afterwards, but that was okay. It tasted really good. You had zucchini, you had your cucumbers, you had your corn, and you just go on and on and on. But look at today, you have something down here, as we're taking a look. It looks like you probably have visited Farmer's Market a couple of times in the past week. And tomato or tomato, which one do you say?
I don't care as long as they're fresh and slightly acidic.
Okay, then you're good.
I'm in my element, exactly.
So you like the acidity, huh?
I do. I think it adds some really good flavor, particularly to sauces and those types of things.
That's true.
But the different tomatoes are used for different things. I like the little ones, the cherry tomatoes, the grape tomatoes. We've had those toms I told you about before, those tiny toms. Those are great. So there's a variety of things that you can do with tomatoes. And one of the things I want to tell you, I didn't bring you today, but one of the things I really like to do is make tomato juice, because a lot of times people, you think about all these other things for juices. We make green juice and tomato juice or orange juice. Tomato juice is really wonderful, and you can make your own Bloody Mary mix, all fresh. So Virgin Marys are really good with that. So think about that and add tomato, cucumber, red bell pepper, celery, garlic, basil, all those things. It is delicious.
And you don't have to overload it with salt either, because that's the biggest drawback on Bloody Mary mix. If you ever want to scare yourself, look at the salt content of Bloody Mary mix.
Like V8, you think of tomato juice, or,
right, which really isn't the healthiest thing in the world. It's really a lot of preservatives. It's a ton of sodium, as you've alluded to. So make your own. It's really, really good. And there's such an abundance of tomatoes now and through the end of the season that sometimes we're just like, what am I going to do with all these? So one of the things that I like to do with them is dehydrate them. So I'll dehydrate them for later use during the year. And so I'll take them, and all you have to do is take a big tomato, slice it into 3 chunks, put it in the dehydrator until it's pliable or slightly crispy, however you like it, and then store it in the refrigerator. Reconstitute it.
How long will it last in the refrigerator like that?
Oh, I've kept them for months, so 3-4 months.
And when you rehydrate them, are they as good, or do they have a similar quality to them?
They have a great taste. What happens when you concentrate something by dehydrating it, you concentrate the flavors. So you're going to do 2 things. The flavors are going to be more concentrated in a smaller area. You're also going to add chew factor, because tomatoes, face it, don't chew.
No.
But when they're dehydrated, if you think about chewing a dehydrated tomato, it chews. You get it stuck in your teeth, for example.
Speaking of which.
Yes, so I made tomato chips for you today. So those are not just tomatoes on their own. Those are seasoned. So I put a little seasoning in there. There's a little bit of cayenne. You're going to get a taste, a little bit of a kick.
That's what I was tasting. That was
just
good.
a bit. It leaves a little tingle on your tongue, and you can leave that out if you wanted to.
Do you use a mandolin on these, or do you slice these?
I slice those by hand. Yeah. The mandolin.
Very fun looking.
If a tomato is soft, a mandolin is a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, then it'll turn into your juice automatically. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Did you have to use yeast at all?
I use nutritional yeast, and there's some cashew in there because I needed some fat, but I didn't want to add oil. So some fat is what adds the stick-to-it topping crunch thing. So leave them in the dehydrator until they're done. It's not anything we have to be really, dogged about. It's not like a pot roast or a turkey or any of those things where, oh, you've burned it, it's ruined. Leave it in there. Some people like them pliable. The thicker ones that I've made, because I did it by hand, so they were not all precise.
Right, and these here, we can show you here how they will bend.
Yep, that has a little bend to it. The other ones are crispy.
It's not going to break.
Nope, and if I put that back in the dehydrator, it could crispen up, but I wanted to have variety.
You'll break a chunk off some. There you have it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I love those, and if they get wilted on you, you can put them back in the dehydrator and they'll recrisp. That's a nice little tip.
Nice.
That also works with crackers, by the way. So,
Really?
Yep. Okay, so let's move on to salad dressing. Now, one of my favorite salad dressings when I used to eat regular food was Russian, and I also like Thousand Island, and those two are kind of kissing cousins. So I made you essentially a Russian dressing today. Russian dressing has a little bit of Russian, and Thousand Island have red in them, typically because there's some tomato base in there. So I made a tomato paste and use that as part of the base. There are cashews. This is an oil-free dressing. It has fat like good dressing does, but this is oil-free. It's got a thinner consistency. I could make it thicker by adding more cashews or a little more tomato paste, but I like it the consistency that it is. It pours nicely.
We're going to be able to pour this? Okay.
And it pours right onto I made you a little chopped salad with my homemade or my homegrown sesame. or I'm off today, my homegrown sunflower sprouts, exactly. And I love this dressing. One of the things I want to do with it, I thought of after I made it, is maybe add some chopped homemade pickles to it.
Oh, that'd be good.
Taste that and see if you think that if I'm crazy, but I think it would work. Now,
do I have to answer that question before I eat it or afterwards? I'll answer the question before I even taste it. Yes, you are crazy.
Okay, there you go. So I'm going to suggest that you can add this.
Now, what is this, a cabbage leaf?
Yes, it is. So
Okay.
I've made you almost like it's a salad, but you could also eat it as a burrito. Kind of just roll it right up, and it makes a nice little presentation. And that way you're getting your greens in. It's an easy carrier. It's a great way to have that.
I'm gonna get it all over my face. I know that.
That's why I brought you a napkin.
So I mean, it's very earthy. Like you're eating very fresh vegetables, and could you? I know you wouldn't, but I could see like putting some chicken in here or something like that, another protein to just really spice it up and make it delicious.
If it were me, I would use a tofu, like one that hasn't been marinated in anything.
This is really good. This is not real heavy because that's one of the
Right.
drawbacks of the Russian dressing or the
Right.
especially Thousand Island
Yeah.
dressing. It's so heavy, and this is not heavy at all. This
No.
is
That's
very light, very
light.
good.
Yep, I really like it. It doesn't weigh you down. I put a little bit of soy sauce in there to have a salty flavor, to give it some umami. I didn't want to add salt. So.
Good.
So the last thing I made you is, we've all heard of 5-layer dips. Of course, that comes really popular during football season. And so I made you a layer dip, an individual one of it. I put it into a little mason jar, so you could put a lid on the top, and it's portable. You could bring it for your lunch. I like to eat it with the spoon just as it is. You can see there's a lot of tomatoes in it. I made a salsa, and I also made a pico de gallo.
Ooh.
Now the difference between salsa and pico de gallo, Pico de Gayo is the chunky variety that's on the top. That's where we take fresh, raw ingredients and we chunk them up. And in your pico, you've got tomato, onion, you've got jalapeno pepper, there's a little bit of cilantro, some lime juice. And in the salsa, there's very much the same ingredients, except I puree it. So that's what's underneath.
Have you ever thought about taking any of these things to the fair and then selling them?
And put them on a stick, maybe?
No,
Nah.
you could put this in a cradle on a stick.
What do we have below here?
Yeah,
so we
what's on the
have
bottom
salsa,
part?
so we have
Okay.
a couple more layers.
There's a guacamole, and then I made a spicy walnut taco meat that I didn't make too terribly spicy because I put some spice in the salsa.
Explain that walnut taco meat.
Okay, so I take walnuts and I soak them and I put them into the food processor with some traditional Mexican seasonings, which would include things like cumin, coriander, a little bit of garlic, of course, a little soy sauce, again, instead of salt, and then I just pulse it. That's it. I mean, that's as fast as it got.
You
came
put any
to-
chili powder in there at all? or
You
not?
could put
Yeah,
chili
you
powder.
can.
That would be awesome. Yep. I need you to come over to my kitchen when I'm doing some recipe development. We'll have some fun.
And then in the very bottom.
And the very bottom layer is I have an abundance of basil in my garden, so
Right.
I made
Pesto.
some basil pesto,
Okay.
which I used sunflower seeds as a basis.
Oh,
so,
really?
Because I wanted to do something that wasn't nut-centric, because we're doing a lot of nuts here today, and so sometimes I want to switch it up and do a different protein, a different profile, nutritional profile, and just give you something different.
That is really good. And again, very, very light, especially for a day
Yeah.
like today. It's absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
I
No,
want to like
wonderful.
put this on my.
Yeah, exactly. You can
Tomato
turn that. This dip. One of the things I really like to do with it is use jicama instead of chips, and you make.
Now, what is jicama for those who don't know?
Jicama is a root vegetable. It's very starchy. You can buy them at the Mexican store. A lot of traditional supermarkets carry them now. It's very thick-skinned, so you're going to want to peel the skin off with a knife rather than a vegetable peeler. And then I slice it into planks and like long sticks, fatter than a julienne, and then I use it to dip out, and it's very firm. Use it to dip into your the dip, and it's great.
That is gross. It's awesome.
An alternative to your classic chip and dips that you might be enjoying as you head out to your next summer party, but doing it a fresh way and using things that are available right now.
All right, we want to keep an eye on what you're doing. Where do we follow you?
Go to fork-road.com. Send me an email at info@fork-road.com.
All right, we're getting our recipes ready for the fair, too.
Oh,
folks.
I got to work on that.
Yeah, so we're getting them done. I have a funny feeling that the dehydrator is going to come into play in a lot of situations.
Right.
That is great. Thank you, dear.
Dehydrating
betcha.
everything.
Exactly. We will be right back. This is CW Iowa Live, and when we return,